Howdy, hello, how are you doing? My name is Victoria if you're new here, and if you're not new here, welcome back. Today we're talking about the one, the only Harry Styles. A little bit of a disclaimer I would like to say before I get into all this, that all of the things that I say in this video are my opinions and my interpretations of this music. I don't hold my opinion more valuable than anyone else's. I think everybody is going to think what they think about music based on their own experiences and preferences. So anyway, opinions are opinions. Don't get mad at me. So first, let's talk about the general concept of the album. Harry's House, to me, I interpreted as a collection of songs, this being a very self-reflective recollection of memories and feelings, relationships, and his own behaviors within those relationships, and touching on a 50s pop disco sound with a 2022 production quality. There is a lot of simplicity in the lyrics and the melodies and the social commentary that he makes, like based on relationships and interpersonal relationships with people. It's really a 2022 discussion. Like, our generation talks about this stuff a lot. We are the most emotionally open generation probably in fucking history. Like, there were multiple songs on the album that I felt were really healing for my inner child and my inner teenager. I've been a Harry Styles fan since the beginning, honey. When he was a baker on the X Factor, I remember the whole thing. I was there. You just had to be there. So it's been really, really interesting for me to really see his progression from beginning to now. And while I don't think that this album, in my opinion, is his best album, I do think it was really, really fun and explorative in comparison to what he's done before this. Let's get into the song by song breakdown and I'll tell you what I think. So the first song on the album is Music for a Sushi Restaurant. I thought this song was really fun and really silly while still having a few little lines in there that seem a little more thought-provoking. Like, if the stars were edible and our hearts were never full, could we live with just a taste? That line stood out to me among the entire song, and I thought that it was highlighted among the rest of the song as well. Everything kind of dropped out from underneath that in that line in comparison to the other lines from the previous pre-choruses or whatever it is. I think it's fun. I think I would drive down the road, use this as a pump me up song before I go and get into something. I love the horns on the song. I love any application of horns in anything. I just think they liven up pretty much any recording. It's sharp. I like the way that they were incorporated into the soundtrack. It livens up the whole song for me. I think if it didn't have the horns, I wouldn't even like the song, but the horns suck me right into it. You know what I'm saying? The second song on the album is Late Night Talkin', and this is the first song that I listened to that really gave me that 50s pop disco vibe that I was talking about. It reminded me of very much Tom Jones in the 70s mixed with those 50s boy groups that would be singing. Like, if you remember, if anyone's ever seen the movie Cry Baby, the debutante boys or whatever the fuck they are, they're singing their little doo-wop songs and stuff. This gave me that vibe. If it was Tom Jones in the 70s, like ripping his shirt off and being on the stage and doing all that shit, that was what I got from this. It had a little bit of that 70s soul sound that a lot of different artists are incorporating into their music this year, which I think is highly attributable to Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars really bringing that back full in. From the outfits to the music to the energy to the lyricism, like they really kind of set a standard this year for incorporating that era of music back into 2022 pop. So I think a lot of artists took notes from that, and I feel like also just in general the world is looking back to different time periods like the 70s and kind of like reminiscing, even though like if you didn't live there, just like wishing type of things when people wishfully think, oh, I'd like to go back to the 70s. Well, no one would actually really like to go back to the 70s because it was all fucked up. But in your head, you want to daydream that you're just living this very 70s fantasy life. And I feel like a lot of artists this year have felt in that energy. I've just been so immersed with that sound this year. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling, but that's what I got with Late Night Talkin'. I thought it was cute. Definitely not my favorite song on the album, but I did like it. The third song on the album is Grape Juice. I think it really plays up the Harry's House childlike vibe while still being an adult album. Like, obviously he's talking about wine. I really, really love the way that the melody is mixed. That PA announcer sound at the beginning was really, really good to get me involved in the song. I think it just added another layer of complexity. I did find this song a little bit boring. I don't think that I'll be revisiting this one as often as I will be others. it was still a good song, and I think that the ad-libs and embellishments used on this song were really what made it good. So those little bits and pieces that pop up in between the main melodies and the main backtrack, that's what I think made this song what it was. Which is a good song. Not my favorite, but it's good. Now, number 4 is As It Was. I fucking love this song. This is easily and obviously the most popular song off the album. It was the lead single, and the second that it came out, it was all over the place. TikTok took it and fucking spread it all over the world. But I did not realize how serious the lyrics of this song were until I actually listened to the whole album, because it had just been being used on TikTok for fucking everything from like making soaps to like running into the ocean, like all kinds of different things. And I was just like kind of scrolling and watching. But once I actually listened to the lyrics of this song, I was like, is he okay? Are we okay? Is everybody all right? I was really, really captivated by the lyrics when I actually paid attention to them. I think this is the song that gives you the most insight to the album, which is why I think it's the perfect song to release as the single. I think that was a really good choice on their end. For me, it's the most personal point of view into Harry himself as an artist and as an individual. And it's also really relatable. Like, everybody on the planet, anyone that I've ever met at least, has those moments where they're like, I wish I could go back in time. I know I feel that all the time, just if even for a moment, to look at those moments again and to relive little pieces and parts. And there's also those moments that you don't want to relive, and you wish you could go back to the time before that. That's what this whole song is encapsulating. And that's really what the whole album is. It's all about experiences and what he should and have shouldn't done, which is something that literally everybody goes through. So I think from the point of view of making the album accessible emotionally, he did a really good job. Not only are the lyrics very nostalgic and the energy in itself is very nostalgic, but obviously the music underneath it, for me, contributes a lot to the nostalgic feeling that I get. This song leans way more into the 80s sound, I think, than the 70s, 50s pop disco, but it still has those elements too. Like, the synths are really popping off, but also the guitar is too, and they're kind of like vibing off of each other, which in my opinion mixes into that really nostalgic feeling bouncing off those lyrics. It always makes me feel like I'm sinking into the song when the melody, the guitar, the synths here at least, are all descending, okay? So like towards the end of every phrase, it ends on the lower end. That heavy beat that just keeps hitting and hitting, it's very steady throughout the whole song. So it's like you're sinking into that nostalgic feeling, into the past, into everything you've ever been through in your whole life that led up to this moment. I think this is the song that really encapsulates the entire point of the album better than any other song. Number 5 is Daydreaming. First of all, I want to know who's doing cocaine in the kitchen, because yes, I love music, but first and foremost, I'm nosy. But aside from that, I really, really like this song. I think it's sweet. I think it's simple. I think it's light. I love the imagery of the bluebird and the honey and the implication of that sweetness, the feeling of being totally enamored by someone, so much so that it's almost painful, especially when it's not reciprocated, which I think is what he's hinting at in the song and the lyrics. You don't have to have all this complicated shit to make a good song, and I think that this is one of the fewer songs on this album that really, really shows off what simplicity can give. I think this is also one of the few songs on this album that hints at the country energy that I love to see being incorporated into pop music in 2022. The chorus of this really gives me country chorus vibes. Even though it sounds more pop here, the structure of the chorus and that swinging sound is giving very much country. It is. And some people want to deny that, but I'm telling you right here, right now, at my kitchen table, that's a country chorus. It just makes me want to sit outside and be like waited on with like a cute little bathing suit in the sun. I have a hat on, sunglasses. Like I just want to sip a cold drink and listen to this song. Song number 6 is Little Freak. And I'm going to be honest, this one was a little for me. I thought that this was going to be a completely different song than what it was, like based on the title. When he said Little Freak, I thought he was going to be like freaky freaky. I thought that's what we were talking about. It's another really simple one for me, and it reminded me of some of the One Direction songs. Another one that made me really nostalgic. Not the One Direction songs that were like super poppy, not like What Makes You Beautiful, but more of those like echoey, 5-part, really romantic songs that weren't written by them, but still gives that energy. This song also reminded me of some of Troye Sivan's music, like just based on the vibe of it all. It's giving a little bit of Strawberries and Cigarettes. I did think the yoga line was a little bit weird. Like I was like, was that really necessary to include? But not my song, not my story. Bless his heart. Okay, that's all I really have to say about that. Now, song number 7, Matilda. This song physically, emotionally, and mentally hurt me. It is an absolutely beautiful song. Beautiful song. The lyrics are perfect. They are just enough. Not too much, not too little. Everything is just perfectly placed, in my opinion, and it's emotionally so fucking good. This is a song that there are millions of people across the planet that need to hear this song. I was one of them. I needed somebody else to tell me everything that I already knew. In my opinion, this is the most important song on the entire album. It was a personally healing experience to listen to it for the first time. The acoustic guitar is beautiful. The whole melody is so gentle, but to the point, and it really tells you what you need to hear. It feels like someone is giving you that type of hug where you're really wrapped up and they're kind of talking in your ear, like reassuring you, but giving you some of that tough love that you need. Like a movie moment hug, which I might be taking this way too personally and describing it way too personally, but I feel what I feel. And I felt a movie moment hug. Number 8 is Cinema. And I think, let me just say this, I think the whole second half of the album is better than the first half, minus as it was. I really, really think everything kind of picked up between songs like 7 and 12. We'll get to the last song in a minute, but Cinema, number 8. I fucking love this song. Love this song. It's funky, it's hot. I fucking love those stacked, echoey vocals. And the melody is like relatively simple. And the lyrics are too. But the background music is pretty fucking flushed out. It's cute, it's sexy, and it's easy. It makes you want to dance. It makes you want to move around. You don't have to get caught up too much on what's going on. You can just kind of like jump in. And I really like that. Song number 9 is Daydreaming. I love the harmonies. I love the bounciness of everything. You don't have to dive too much into overly interpreting what's going on. It's very clear. But I really just love the implications and the storyline of this whole album. Daydreaming is just another song that I really, really enjoyed listening to. Song number 10 is called Keep Driving. This one is another one that reminded me of some of the One Direction stuff. Like just kind of that echoey boy group energy, even though it was only him. It just had a little bit of reminiscent One Direction sound. But anyway, this is also another song that I really love the descending melody line. Really, really vivid imagery that are matched by some powerful emotions. And I think the imagery adds to like all of the senses. It's very well described. And it is bounced off of those emotions that are described in less detail, but are kind of like represented through the vivid imagery as well. It's like all of this stuff is happening. Everything is happening at once. It's surrounding you. Do you keep going? Do you just keep going? Is it worth it to keep going? Is the relationship more important, or is the surrounding circumstances more important? Do you keep going or do you not? The darkness and the weight of everything on your shoulders versus the holding a cloud, which is obviously super easy. You're not even holding it. It's just air. That vivid imagery, you can just like feel it in your hands, and you can see and you can smell the eggs and all that shit. Like it's like a movie. You can see it. I really like that one. Not my favorite again, but really good. Song number 11 is Satellite. This, honestly, I really love this. I don't remember if I've said this earlier, but this also might be my favorite song on the album. Fucking love this song. Anything that sounds spacey, I'm automatically kind of into because I'm just fascinated by that sound. Usually it's one of those like, not genres, but pockets of sound that reoccurs in all the genres that I really like to hear. I love the voice effects all over this song. I don't think that that's something he has explored a lot in any of his other work. From One Direction to Watermelon Sugar, I really don't think that that was something that was overtly prominent like it has been in this album, and even more so in this song. The premise of this song is pretty basic, that watching someone live their life post relationship or whatever it may be, and you're like surrounding them, you can see them and you want them to know that you're there, but you don't want to intrude, and you know it's kind of like not the vibe to do that. It's a situation that has been explored millions of times over in music, but I do think that this was a really, really good take. If you've ever seen Seussical the musical, this reminds me of Alone in the Universe with Horton and JoJo. And it also reminds me of The Weeknd a little bit. Like I could totally hear The Weeknd on this song. Crossover of Seussical and The Weeknd, I guess, is what I'm getting. In the best possible way, though. The breakdown of this one is incredible. It makes me just want to freaking jump up and down and like throw myself up against the wall. I love it. Honestly, I'm just obsessed with the song. I just really love Satellite. I would recommend everybody in the world listen to Satellite all time. It's one of the top bops of the whole album. Easily. Song number 12 is Boyfriends. This is a really sweet song. He has a really interesting dating history. Not that it's any of my business, but like I said, I'm nosy. And writing a song about boyfriends from both sides of the aisle, like as a boyfriend and as a brother, he has sisters that he's always been like very passionate about. I fucking know way too much about Harry Styles, honestly, and I'm a little embarrassed, but it's all context, okay? But both the perspective of being a boyfriend and a brother, I think that is just interesting to make a song about. I also have an older brother, so listening to this song, and I have a boyfriend, so listening to the song, kind of like interpreting that from all these different perspectives, I think it's really interesting. And this also reminds me of Little Big Town. Once again, country vibes, country sound. This is giving Little Big Town Girl Crush, which he has also done a cover of before. Fabulous. I will say that. I love to hear him exploring more country sounds because he sounds really fucking good at it. The melody and the lyrics are giving country, like it's very overtly what it's talking about. It's obvious, it's easily accessible to someone's ear. Whether you have a lot of knowledge about music or about a lot of worldly knowledge or not, you can understand what's happening. But those guitar licks and the structure of those guitar licks within the song as a whole, that's country. Very much country music, and I really, really like the song. And I think that's another one, kind of like Matilda, that a lot of people needed to hear. Really good song. Last but not least, but also kind of least, because I didn't like this song that much, is Love of My Life. I don't necessarily think that it fits in with the vibe of the rest of the album. And I also think that the accompaniment and the lyrics don't mesh that well. In my ear, I didn't really like this one as much in comparison to the other ones, and I wish that this wasn't the song that the album like ended with. The lyrics are very Frankie Valli, and I wish that the track kind of matched that more and matched it while still incorporating that 2022 production value. You know what I mean? Like I think there were ways that song could have been produced better. Not that he doesn't sound good on it or that the lyrics aren't good. It's really just the track for me I'm not really interested in. But to each their own. So let's wrap up with some final thoughts here. Overall, I really, really, really enjoyed this album. I will listen to anything that Harry Styles releases just because he's one of the few artists, that I've like really, really kept up with since I was younger. And as we get older and things, I think about a lot of the times how we age with the music that we listen to. So I'm going to be watching and kind of like consuming media about all of these artists that I listen to inevitably forever, I guess. So kind of watching myself and watching artists grow and like seeing how that music is a part of my life in the different stages of my life is really cool to me. And this is like, I don't even know, from One Direction to the first two solo albums and now this, I think it's really, really interesting that this is the direction that he's gone in music. And it makes me curious to see where else he's going to go. I think the whole album is really nostalgic. And at the end of the day, I think that nostalgia is what connects all of his albums together, the solo albums. With Sign of the Times, I can remember where I was and what I was doing that whole summer when that came out. With Watermelon Sugar, that has a lot of songs that are like kind of pivotal moments that are like the soundtracks to different parts of my life movie, you know what I'm saying? And now this one, this also has some of those moments, and I really, really appreciate it. I will say I love a lot of the songs individually. His other albums just hold a bigger place in my heart right now. I also think that this is kind of similar to how Casey Musgraves did Star-Crossed. It sounded like it was much more of an album for her as an individual rather than an album for her fan base. And I think Harry Styles Harry House is kind of the same thing, where he stepped away from a lot of the stuff that he's done in his previous albums while still incorporating some of those elements and being really self-reflective and like taking a lot of music for himself, about his situation, and sharing more personal stories, I think, than he's ever shared in other music. So all in all, I really fucking like the album. I'll definitely be listening to it. Probably gonna buy the vinyl. I'm going through right now and seeing which songs I can add to my already existing playlist. So y'all know it's already about to be in the rotation, just not as much in the rotation as Watermelon Sugar and Sign of the Times. And with that, we are closing the door on Harry's House. If you liked hanging out with me today and listening to my review of this album, I would very much appreciate it if you liked and subscribed to support my little corner of the internet. I really appreciate that. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm and bullshit like that. So thank you. Thank you for watching and still sticking with me this far anyway. If you want to follow my other social medias, feel free to check out the description below. But besides that, I'm really, 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 really happy to be back on YouTube and to be reviewing and talking about music again and just to be here. So thank you for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.